Dondi Stlemaster General. So this is the man himself. Here he is with his little boombox in a gallery. So all this next bit, very interesting. So Dondi was one of the early guys to exhibit in a gallery, and the gallery scene in New York was very interesting because there was a woman. I'm not going to go into huge amounts of detail about it because you want to see pictures, but there was a woman called Patty Astor, and she opened a gallery. I think it was called the Fun Gallery, and she started to show graffiti artists, which was a really new thing. This is about sort of 81, I think it kicked off, around that sort of time, and East Village, you know, down there in New York. And it was people like Fab Five Freddy and Lee Quinones and Zephyr, Dondi, Lady Pink, Futura, what's his name, Keith Haring and Basquiat. All those guys were getting a platform in the Fun Gallery in the early 80s. And this was the first time that art from the streets, graffiti writing, had ever been seen in a gallery and was suddenly being taken seriously as art. And so I get annoyed, you know, with the whole kind of his graffiti art thing. But it's like, you know, we've been having this conversation for 40 odd years, guys. Come on, you know, it's been in galleries for 40 years now. When you're gonna just accept that it's an art form? Just annoying. I won't have that argument anymore. Anyway, there we go. Let's get into it, right? So this is Dondi's work from that time. So bear in mind, this is all canvas work now. Something very clean looking. I mean, I guess it looks so clean and tidy and everything because he's got loads of time to do it, because he's done it in his studio. 1980, that one. Enamel spray paint on canvas. Yeah, there he is, the man himself, in front of his piece. There we go. Recognise this bit of trope, this hand. You've seen it twice already. Once on the art train, once on Children of the Grave, part 2. It's a bit of a trope, this looming hand. This is great as well. Look at that. We've got the original sketch for it. Yeah. Great. Love his colours that he used. Suddenly, just, you know, what a great colourway that is. And you don't think about it particularly because you think, oh well, you know, orange, blue. Well, you might not even think that. But if you look at that particular shade of blue on that particular shade of orange, it's great. Sort of, I mean, he's abstracting here, sort of. I think. Again, you know, he's using abstract elements. He's taking little elements of character design and stuff like this. You know, because that's not traditional graph, obviously. And we look at that now in 2022. I look at that and I go, that's really interesting. It's very contemporary, very sort of avant-garde, or you know, sort of, I don't know. I'm not an educated artist, so I couldn't tell you exactly what school of art that comes from or anything, but it's not just traditionally wall graph, is it? I think we can all agree that. Interesting. Grand Concourse. Fuzz One talks a lot about the Grand Concourse in his book. Fuzz One. Oh, do you know what? I should give you a quick plug as well for this. While I'm about it, you've got to get this book. I can't do a flip because it's a textbook. There are pictures in it, as you can see, but it's mostly text, and you've got to read this. I've read it about 2 or 3 times. It is amazing. It tells you everything about that time, and by that time I mean, like, we're going right back to, there you go, 1970 kicks off to 77, so it's 7 years. 70, 77. This is like the early birth of New York graph. Fuzz One, A Bronx Childhood. Get hold of it if you can. It's an amazing book. And mate, for anybody who really loves this art form and wants to learn about its roots, this is the one. So, anyway, back to the back to the book in hand. Yeah, so Fuzz, he talks a lot about Grand Concourse, which is why I mentioned it. You've got to get this book. It's amazing. Right, so back to Dondi. Look at this stuff. Look at these, you know, these poses and great sort of, you know, such a sort of, he's tipping a nod to the b-boy, I can't even speak, b-boy generation, you know, that of breakdance and hip hop, and oh, that's great. Look at this. Really, you know, so he's using figurative stuff in an abstract way. That is presumably a train there. Beautiful, isn't it? Amazing. Again, very sort of abstract here. And this. Bit more recognisable, this stuff. That was one of his names, obviously. Big B. I'm assuming that's a sort of hint at bus. Oh, maybe it's not, because he called this one Bishop of Battle, so maybe that's what it is. Who knows? Loads of elements in there. Look at all that. Graph uses a lot of abstract elements, so this should come as no surprise to any writer or fan of the art form. Uses loads and loads of abstract elements, pretty much has since day one. Look at Futura's stuff. Futura 2000, what he was doing in the 80s, and you just think, wow, you know, that was like practically abstract expressionism back then. So innovative. Oh God, I love that. Look at that. That sort of skull face with the red eye and everything. But it's so beautiful. I wonder if that's where Zombie got his inspiration to do a shine in his character's eye. I mean, the thing is, we all took inspiration from Dondi. Dondi laid the foundations for graph as we know it. All this stuff that we look at now, and I said it the other day, I'm going to repeat it, which is, we look at an arrow like that, we look at a D, you know, in that sort of shape, with that kind of form, that kind of beautiful straight edge form and everything, and all the little bits and doodads and you know, stuff like that. And we just take it for granted that that's the graph world, but it wasn't, because there was no graph world. It was people like Dondi who invented this stuff, just made it up as they went along. So inventive. Quick shout for Case 2 as well, because that man was incredible. You know, just we've got to keep these names alive, because they'll be forgotten if we don't. Now, these guys absolutely laid it down for us. This is great, isn't it? So that's the painted version. This is a collage on paper. I think we're getting into the paper stuff now. See, he's using schematics and blueprints, which are beautiful to be used in collage. Great stuff. These are my favourite bits. These are completely my favourite. All these collages that he did on paper with illustration. God, they are just wonderful, aren't they? There's none on the open market. They're all owned. They'll all be like worth a fortune now. Most of us won't get anywhere near them. The only problem with all this stuff is that it gets taken over by the art world, doesn't it? You know, rich people just get to buy it all up and own it. That is fantastic. He was doing this in 1988. 1988. I won't even tell you what I was doing in 88. Well, writing on walls mostly. Getting nicked. Yeah, this is fabulous, isn't it? Fabulous. Look at that. That D. It's so great. I mean, yeah, this is why he was known as the Stlemaster General. Oh God, so good. This thing about, you know, doing it on blueprints and this, I love this. Just love it. This skull and that. I mean, look at that. Where's he getting that from? Oh, people ready to chill. Yeah, yeah. Oh, there's a nice little lineup. A few CIA faces in there. Some very famous ones. Yeah, he's one of my favourite writers of all time. He died a long time ago, Shy 147. I mean, there's too many to go into, but you know, Futura, Knock 167, Days, Zephyr, Duro, Dondi, Crash, Knack, Kid 56, you know, just so many of them. And here's the man himself in his studio. Did a big Bode, so that's from Deadbone, that character. There's a big Deadbone character there. And the rest is autobiography, so I'm going to leave it there. But there you go. Dondi Stlemaster General, to repeat. This book. This one. If you can get, I mean, it's really difficult to get hold of now, I believe. Really, really tricky. But if you can, grab yourself one. And do yourself a favour. Get that one as well. Because this is our roots. And for me, it's so rich. It's so rich I'm so inspired when I read about this stuff. I look at his stuff, and I just get excited about it. It excites me all over again. I've been doing this stuff for how long? I don't know, 35 years, something nearly. And I go on and off the boil about it. Mostly on the boil, but whenever I get into this stuff again, I remember what it was about this stuff that really excited me and arrested me at the time. So there you go.